Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, pirates on the high seas. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of One Piece as we continue on with the Rocks flashback. As previously, we picked up 40 years ago, in a time where the Kuja pirates were being led by Gloriosa and Shakuyaku, as well as their clashes with the Roger pirates as well as Garp and the Marines, with Roger desperately in love with Shakuyaku, and Gloriosa desperately in love with Roger. Meanwhile, on Elbaf, a young Loki tried to join the Rocks pirates. But Rocks was only interested in Loki's father, Harold. But Harold wasn't interested. You gotta love how there's so many situations of someone wanting one thing and not being able to get it. Seems to be the name of the game. During this time, Rocks had taken over Pirate Island, gaining more and more powerful members to his crew. But Harold was still the apple of Rocks' eye, mostly because he wanted him to consume a particular devil fruit, as well as finding giants known as the Gulela, a band of giants who were said to be frozen somewhere, potentially Punk Hazard, and overthrow Marijois. Time went on and the Rocks pirates continued to do their thing across the seas, Rocks still trying to get to Harold, and Harold still turning him down, as he wanted to be able to make Elbaf part of the world government, even with all the situations Harold had encountered, where the government didn't seem quite as on the up and up. But Harold believed in changing things on the inside, and you can only do that once you're on the inside. Meanwhile, Shaki ends up quitting the Kuja, a shock to the system of the entire world, as Gloriosa had already joined the Rocks pirates in order to, find Roger. Shaki ended up leaving the Kuja in order to do something very similar, pursuing Silver's Rayleigh, leaving the Kuja in the hands of Tritoma. Shaki sets up a bar, and with the Rocks pirates, well, the male ones, mostly being enamored with her, allowing her to stay. Meanwhile, the five elders make a deal with Harold that he can join the world government if he kills Rocks. Meanwhile, Roger and his pirates make a trip to Pirate Island to see Shaki, with Rayleigh trying to keep his distance, as he doesn't want to be chained down just yet. It's not that he's not interested, it's just that he likes his freedom. Later on, Garling brings the Marines to God Valley to round up the citizens for the native hunting competition, with news getting out that Shaki was captured to be a prize in this game. The Rocks and Roger pirates head there in order to free her, and Garp, hearing about Roger, heads there as well. But the Rocks pirates are intercepted by Harold, who's on his mission from the elders. But Rocks decides to have a talk. He reveals his legacy as a descendant of Davy D. Jones, saying that the reason he's headed to God Valley isn't so much for Shaki, but his wife and child. Harold, feeling for him, still chooses not to help, but does not become a full hindrance either, mostly just making it look good for the observing Marines off in the distance. But as God Valley gets into full swing, the prizes for this competition are shown off to the nobles, including Shaki, as well as the Davy family, found after 800 years, which includes Marshall D. Teach. As the native hunting competition begins, is interrupted by the arrival of Roger, Rocks, and multiple other pirate crews. During the chaos, Dragon tries to get Shanks and Shamrock out of God Valley, while the Gods Knights leap into action against the pirates, with the Marines arriving as well. It was a good plan on the part of Dragon, but Saint Maffey manages to find him, taking back Shamrock, leaving Dragon only with Shank. As the Rocks pirates make their way, they encounter Garp, while Summers has decided that, well, if all the pirates have come here for Shaki, he'd love to see their despair should she die at his hand. Only for Summers to be stopped by Silver's Rayleigh, who frees Shaki, and the Roger pirates start their escape. And while we may know what certain things work out here and there, we know not everything does work out. So what'll happen next? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, first up is Chapter 1162, God Valley Battle Royale. And we have the cover page or cover story with Yamato eating some oden with Momonosuke. And I love that Kinemon is kind of eyeing Ulti. Like, he's not quite sure about her being here, but it's just like, well, she wants, Yamato wants to be like Oden, and, well, Oden did gather some somewhat unsavory type, so I guess we'll allow it. It's Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest, Surrogate Pilgrimage, Final Volume, Dear Sir Luffy, Wano is once again at peak. Okay, Yamato lived like Odin, even got the whole crescent moon cloak thingy. Does that mean that Yamato is also one of Momonosuke's vassals? Or I do wonder what that all means. But now that Yamato has fully explored Wano, does that mean that Yamato's going to try to leave Wano? That's kind of my question here. What does it mean for Yamato's pilgrimage to be done? I look forward to finding that out, I guess. Moving on, we pick up with a massive explosion going off. I think the Marines saying, Rox and St. Garling are locked in combat to the northwest. Oh, really? You want to see that fight? Send backup. That's where the treasure is. So we see a bit of a map where we have the northwest where Rox is taking on Garling. Roger is in the center. Okay, so they're quite a bit away. The Rox pirates are moving in as well as the Navy. Okay, yeah, that's how we kind of got it going on. Roger calls out to his pirates, Rox is behind us. The Navy's ahead. Keep going, Rayleigh. Let me handle this one. Rayleigh says, thanks, Roger. And Rayleigh rushes off carrying Shaki as the Roger pirates take care of everyone who would get in his way. I don't know who says it, but someone says, circle the ship around to the southwest. And someone on the radio says, you got it. And then you hear yells from the crowd saying, Rayleigh's gotten Shaki back. What? I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous, damn it. Take out Rayleigh and steal Shaki from him. Only for Shiki to butt in saying, don't even dream of it, fools. Get rough and you'll harm Shaki. It's interesting that he's just so obsessed with her. Rayleigh still. You got Ganzui sending off an attack saying, Fushtar gets to the treasure. As Whitebeard says, we're taking everything but Shaki. Yeah, switch up your priorities, and at least they know she's safe. Meanwhile, Shaki seems to be happy just being in Rayleigh's arms. Rayleigh then takes a moment saying, Shaki, there's something I need to say to you. And Shaki says, don't say it. I already know. Aw. Oda says he doesn't want to write romance, and yet here he is just writing the most romantic stuff. Oh, we switch over to the primary prize treasury after Kuma and Ivankov decide to go after the devil fruits. Kuma says, it's a wild melee out there, while Ivankov says, we can't ask for a better chance. As they hold the pawpaw fruit and the azure dragon fruit in their hands, Kuma questions, this is it? Ivankov says, it sure is. I don't know which is what, but let's eat them. Oh, you don't know which is which? Like, you have eyes, don't you? They're pretty distinct. And naturally, we have the moment where Big Mom crashes through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, taking the dragon fruit, saying, ha, not so fast, slamming Ivankov into the wall. As she reaches out for the pawpaw fruit, too. She says, I'll take that one, too. Ivankov says, eat it, Kuma. Don't think. Eat the fruit. And Kuma does just that, consuming it in one go, much to the ire of Big Mom. As Kuma goes rushing out of there, Ivankov yells to him, and save yourself. We just need one survivor, and then we've won. Yeah, Ivankov was fully ready to die in that moment, but, Big Mom's just kind of like, I mean, what can you do? He already ate it. That sucks. Hey, you got a shot of Stussy dual-wielding pistols. Cool. And then the one fishman, I think Barbell. Wait, is that Marco fighting Kyo? That almost looks like Marco. The heck? Or maybe it's just someone who looks like Marco. But Kyo's getting his ass handed to him. Someone radios, chaos is unfolding everywhere. The pirates are fighting each other. Should we retreat or arrest them? We need orders, sir. But suddenly the Marine is caught up in an explosion. We then cut to from the Navy's perspective, where we have Garp running with, I think that's Bogard, yeah. As Garp is rushing through the flames, he says, "Hey, Sengoku, did you know this was going on?" Oh, so he wasn't aware of the whole situation on Hachino. So, okay. Because I always watch the theory videos for when the chapters are released. And there was some questions as to, there'd long been some questions if Garp knew about the whole, native hunting thing. But I'm just like, there's no way Garp was fully aware of something like this. Sengoku radios in saying, there was one man who reported some rumors, but he vanished from the Navy's ranks. Yeah, of course they wouldn't fully advertise something like that. But I do find myself questioning, what about the Marines who are involved in this kind of stuff? How much information are they really kind of given? And it's very weird to be just rounding up people that you've put to sleep. But then again, a lot of people, that's the thing about military stuff. You are trained to follow orders no matter what. You just tell people it's a training exercise. It's training exercise. Honestly, I could see it like this. If they had emphasized that, made people think that, oh, it's a training exercise, it's to see how well you're able to follow orders no matter what. Or tell them, or start a rumor that all of these people are part of the Marines or part of the Navy, and they're all in on it. They're proctors. They're people who ultimately decide whether or not you're, actually good enough to be a part of their ranks or something like that. I can see something as diabolical as that. Everybody questions how could they see the elders and not think something is up? Look, man, devil fruits come in all weird shapes and sizes. If you got jumpy over the appearance of someone wielding a devil fruit, you wouldn't make it on the high seas, man. The Garp grows visibly angry, saying, if I ain't awake and dreaming, then it's all real. And none too happy about that. We then cut over from Rox's perspective. Zebek cries out, are they immortal or something? Ares, who is holding Teach and being carried by Rox, says, let me down, Zebek. Zebek races off, being chased by Garling and another God's Knight, and several what looks to be Domi Reversied people? Rox tells Ares, we just gotta run. Everyone who got chased down transformed like that. Oh, they Domi Reversied his people. Wait, but how? Is Eam already here? Or is Eam able to share the Domi Reversi power to others? Did Garling do it? I'm not sure who cries out, come back, Zebek. Or is it Garling who shouts that? I don't know. Rock says, what the hell is that? Is it someone's powers? Dad, Granny, what happened to you? Oh man, his dad and his grandma? Oh, yeah. Oh, so the big person with the hat was his dad. Huh. That's messed up. I don't think we find out how to undo the Domi Reversi here, because it's a flashback. Nothing good ever happens in flashbacks. Meanwhile, Garling and the other female God's Knight are chasing after him. Garling's head is starting to heal from, I guess, an attack from Rox. Garling's saying, no, he's strong, no doubt. The wounds he inflicted will take longer to regenerate. Okay, yeah. So you put some Conqueror's Hockey in there, and it doesn't completely take them out. It just delays their regeneration, which, is basically the same as incapacitating them for the most part. But when you're outnumbered like this, the female God's Knight says, but now we know that he's one of the Davy clan. The Great One will be delighted if we can take him out. Garling says, yes. The game is ruined, but this is a stroke of luck. Meanwhile, Ares continues to yell out, let me down, Zebek. Do you really think you can hold them off one-handed? She's more concerned about him, taking them down. Zebek tells her, listen, Ares, anyone with the Davy name who gets caught will be put through agony that makes hell itself seem like a lukewarm bath. Ares says, I know that. I'm part of the Davy clan now, too. They welcomed me among them, even though I was a pirate. Oh, okay, so Ares was a pirate too. Now I'm wondering about her backstory. Was it just that Zebek got with a pirate who was on the pirate island? Or I wonder how infamous Ares was. She says, I understand the fate of the clan, so let me down. Ares manages to get out of Zebek's grasp, and Zebek says, hey! Ares says, if I was the kind of helpless woman who could only cling to you and couldn't protect a single child, then you wouldn't have fallen in love with me, would you? Oh. I gotta like that. But Zebek says, don't be an idiot. But Ares tells him, if it looks like they're going to catch me, I'll kill, teach, and end my own life. Jesus. But I mean, if being captured would mean suffering a fate worse than death, then I guess she'd prefer death. Jesus. Jesus. I wasn't expecting that line. Okay. Woof. So let's each find a way to survive. And we can meet again in Lelucia, Zebek. And it always comes back to Lelucia. Man, what is up with people ending up at Lelucia? Or was she maybe from Lelucia? I wonder. What would that even mean in the greater context of everything, As Garland closes in, he smiles, saying he finally relinquished his wife and son. So, how shall I attack? Meanwhile, as Ares takes off, Zebek stands his ground, readying his sword, questioning, why am I the one getting cheered up? As Zebek gets ready, Garland gets on guard. Zebek brings down a violent swing, causing a massive cut across the land. As Zebek tells the god's knights, stay here with me, I insist. Now, come and do your worst, you monsters. As she races off, Ares calls back for Zebek, as the young Teach can only watch, tears in his eyes. We then cut over by the primary prize treasury. That's Big Mom's laugh, and she says, ma ha ha ha. Well, this one should do just fine. It's the fish fruit. I'll give this one to Katakuri. Oh, so Katakuri didn't even have his devil fruit at this point. It'll be a major new power-up for my future pirate crew. And then here comes Kaido out of nowhere. Just beating Lin across the face. Taking a moment when the guard was down, he eyes the fruit as it goes into freefall and just immediately eats it. Just and as Lin hits the ground, she gets up, pissed off to high heaven, as Kaido's just munching on that fruit with this shit-eating grin, like, I got it. And Big Mom is like, damn you, Kaido. Oh man. Okay, so ultimately Lin didn't give the fruit to Kaido. Kaido just took that. Oh wow. No, it would kind of explain why Big Mom is just like, you owe me for that. You owe me. Like, yeah, okay. Because as happy as Kaido seems there, I can guarantee he definitely acknowledged it's just like, nah, I did you dirty. I did you dirty on that one, so I owe you for that one. Because Kaido and Lin seem to have one of the better relationships in the crew. So I really have to question, but man, see, this is the biggest example that Big Mom tends not to use her observation that often. You then cut to Dragon running with Shanks, and Shanks starts to cry as he says, don't worry, I won't let you die. And then we have Ares running with Teach, saying, I won't let them kill you, Teach. Wow. The juxtaposition of these two people who would eventually become enemies. We then have the narration. Behind the game stage, secondary prize treasury. Oh, okay, so the primary prizes were the devil fruits and stuff, but the secondary prizes were treasure. As the Roger Pirates call out, found the treasure, yeah! As Gabon seems to have been leading the others to the primary treasure, which we know they get all the gold and stuff if you've seen the follow-up to this when they have all the gold. As Gabon says, I've never seen riches on this scale before. Oh, there's even some devil fruit. Okay, so there was some devil fruit in it. Haul it all off! Only for Gonzui to step in saying, not so fast, Roger Pirates. And Gabon just easily deflecting Gonzui's attack. I think a Marine Vice Admiral calls out, don't let those pirates leave the island. Meanwhile, Dragon, looking intense, questions, what is justice on an island where everything's gone crazy? Yep, see, Dragon's weighing his options. I feel like if Dragon had seen a bit of the atrocities going on, not Dragon, Garth. And if Garth had actually seen some of the stuff going on here before, like, getting to the aftermath of things, I think he would have turned traitor too. Honestly speaking, like, I think the government knows which people they are okay with sending in and which people they wouldn't. And Garp, he would have put two and two together just like he's seen now, and he wouldn't have gone along with any of this. In fact, he would have turned traitor. He has some of the prisoners making their way to the edge saying, "It's the world government's navy. Please rescue us." Only for them to be shot by cannon fire from the navy and announcing God Valley is unaffiliated with the government. Therefore, it's just gonna indiscriminately shoot. And they'll just put out the excuse, I thought they were pirates. And meanwhile, Saturn remembers his previous encounter with Kuma saying, "I want to save as many of these people as I possibly can." Did Saturn just let Kuma go? Because we really don't. I thought we would have saw how Kuma escaped from Saturn. Maybe he used his fruit or something, but I don't know. It feels like Saturn just let Kuma go. Man, Saturn, you really just keep doing that. And I think Emu gets in contact with Saturn, saying, "Saturn, is Rox dead?" Saint Saturn says, "I could not say. This is all so unexpected. If anything, there is a danger that such wanton destruction might bring about the birth of something entirely new." See, Saturn was more curious with what could happen than anything else, I feel. Meanwhile, some pirates and marines see something rise into the sky saying, "What is that? A dragon?" Meanwhile, Im tells Saturn, "That must not happen." Meanwhile, Kuma has rescued some of the prisoners as well as Ivankov, with the prisoners saying, thank you, Kuma, you're a hero." But Kuma tells him, "Save your breath, just hurry." And the people says, "Anywhere that's not here would be heaven compared to this. We had lost all hope. We never thought we'd survive, thank you." And Kuma starts just sending people away as they just say, thank you. And Kuma smiles with tears in his eyes, while Ginny is all tearing up too. So Kuma saving the remaining people is just that. Kuma saving the remaining people. The people who just weren't already dead, my god. People just saying, thank you. Oh, suddenly, Roger, Garp, and Zebek all feel a tremendous hockey, as it seems that Saint Saturn is on the move in his Gyuki form. But one of his shipmates call out to Roger, "Rox's crew captain." But Roger tells him, "No, wait. We've got bigger fish to fry." Meanwhile, Zebek, standing in the flames of his battle with the Gods Knight, says, "You dare use my family against me? And this is going to be my end. Of course I'll fight to kill." Oh, so he cut down his own family in the process. Dang. Ooh, and it seems like he even managed to really hit Garling pretty bad, because Garling's on the floor bleeding. Zebek then says, "There's nothing in it for you. Here, you want to help?" Teach says, Newgate says, "Don't worry about it. I've been drinking on your tab this whole time." Meanwhile, Kaido coming over to them in his dragon form says, "Hey, you two, check this out. I finally got my own power to use. I want to test out my new strength." Rox tells him, "Good for you. As far as I can tell, you're having the most fun of anyone right now." While Newgate says, "That's all well and good, but can I ask what in the world is that? World that is? Oh, is Eam channeling himself through Saturn?" The Marines say, "Saint Saturn, why do you look like that?" I mean, yeah, some of them would kind of question, like, "Saint Saturn, why are you looking demonic?" Just, no shade, just wondering. While the pirates just run away saying, "A monster!" Garp sees it saying, "Now I know I'm dreaming. What is this island?" Garp's just in the dark like, "What the heck is going on here? Is it just a part of the island? What is this?" Roger says, "What grand days of adventure we live in. I still have so much to learn." Roger's curious too. A Rock says, "What is it you say? If I had to call it anything, that represents the world." The world. See, now I'm thinking of that opening with Roger saying, "The world. What a glorious place." Represents the world. The power that Rock seeks out is right in front of him. And it very well may be his undoing. I mean, we know it is, but still. Oh boy. Next up, we have chapter 1163, titled Promise. The cover page of Luffy jumping around with some monkeys. Reader request, Luffy doing parkour all over town with white gibbons. Parkour. Oh, jeez. So we have the emu-possessed Saint Saturn looming over the Marine. The Marine's questioning, "Saint Saturn, why do you look like that? Are those devil fruit powers?" Yeah, see, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like, That would be the immediate assumption. It's just like, okay, is this some kind of devil fruit? We didn't know the elder had a devil fruit. But Emu, speaking through Saturn, says, nuisances. Brings up the tendrils. The Marines get on guard, and they just immediately start getting impaled by Emu. Jeez. The pirates say, why is it attacking the Navy? Whose side is it on? And then the tendrils start coming after the pirates, and the pirates grasping the treasure have to run away, saying, nobody's side! It's on nobody's side! Oh man! One of the Marines call out, all units withdraw, keep your distance, do not attack. Secure an escape route. Yeah, because it's still like, okay, we're pretty sure this is the elder. We don't know if he's possessed or if he's actually just trying to kill us. But you can't really fight back because it's a offense, essentially punishable by death if you attack. So just get out of here. Just leave, get out of here. Which probably explains the protocol of, look, if you're below a certain rank, if one of the elders descends, leave. Just leave. Get out of there. Get out of there. Roger calls out to some of his downed men, saying, hey, get up, guys. One of his men says, it hurts, but it's so fascinating. Like, what? Do you mean? Roger says, what are you talking about? I can't believe what it did to my crew. Come on. Give these guys backup. Take some treasure and split. Gabon says, not again. You better not get yourself into trouble. Meanwhile, Garp has grabbed one of the Marines, saying, what's going on here? What is that monster? The Marine says, I don't know. St. Saturn just started transforming before our eyes. Garp looks over, saying, the 5 elders, huh? Never seen him before. That's about right for the kind of freak who'd sit atop those back. I wonder if that's the general consensus. It's just like, oh, they look like demons? Yeah, that checks out. Well, the Marines think Vice Admiral Garp Ixnay on the Andersley. Meanwhile, as Emu confronts Zebek, Zebek says, hey you, king of the bilge rats. You're here to kill me, aren't you? While Em just says, so it was thee, Davy Jones. Hey, just kind of, see, that's the weird thing about Em. He just keeps acknowledging people as their past selves or their bloodline, not who they presently are. But Zebek says, you got the wrong guy. I've never even met him. However, promises are meant to be kept. Aim says, which is exactly why thy kind must be erased from history. My world is still incomplete. Oh, okay. So that's the way Eam sees it. Eam all this time has been trying to create a perfect ideal world. But as Eam attacks, Zebek cuts off one of the talons, saying, it ain't your world. The Marines say, look at Rox, he dares attack St. Saturn. Should we offer help, Rear Admiral? The Rear Admiral says, I don't... Like, I love that moment of hesitation. Like, I'm honestly not sure, man. I don't even think we should get involved with this. It's like one of those moments where it's just like, look, it feels like it'd be worse to get involved. Garp pushes aside one of the Marines, saying, of course we're helping out. Move it. The Marines say, Vice Admiral Garp, huh? Wait a second. Helping you out which side? Exactly. Garp sees an opportunity. Oh man. So how has Garp not been expelled from the Marines yet? Like see that he's just like one of the elders, huh? I see. This feels like an opportunity to Meanwhile, the Marines are shouting, the pirates are making off with the treasure. Stop them. Those are world-class valuables. But the Roger pirates are just holding off the Marines and other pirates all the way out. Oh, is that Captain John? Yeah, it's Captain John. He says, it's wild out here. Ready to start hauling? His men say, just say the word, Captain John. As John, wipes his mouth from drinking, he says, so long, Rocks pirates. Oh! He's planning on just leaving. Okay. Oh, wow. John was going to take this opportunity, huh? Meanwhile, as Dragon's carrying off Shanks, he says, what's happening over there? I hear screaming. But as he's making his way out to a Navy ship, he thinks, there, Navy ship through the trees. They'll be able to protect the child. Only for something to start pulling at his weapon. Oh, right. He has the magnet He has the magnet fruit. Dang. That is so interesting. So John was just off to the side waiting for the perfect opportunity to bring all the treasure to him. Dang. And Dragon was so close to getting out of there too. You got pirates who have their treasure stacks saying, oh, come back, treasure chest. And Gabon holding on to his axe saying, oh, the metal is reacting to something. It's being pulled away from us. Meanwhile, John is using his ability, Big Eater. Come to me, my treasure. Whereas Kid just cared about the junk, John's all about that treasure. And what comes in metal chests? Treasure. Someone calls out, that's Captain John's magnet power. In case you weren't aware, there's a powerful pull coming from the southeast entrance to the valley. But Roger says, move it. Let them figure that out. Roger. Meanwhile, Gonzui, wait, that looks like he's holding something. Does Gonzui have the bomb fruit? Because that looks like Mr. Five's bomb boogie. I think Gonzui has the bomb fruit. Holy crap. No freaking way. Yeah, he definitely had the bomb. Man, the amount of abilities on this crew. Gonzui holds up something. Is it a booger? Is it something else? It's hard to say. He says, stupid John, buy snake red cannon. And he fires off a blast towards John, and John gets hit. Oh, and he's immediately downed. Wow. Just one shot at John's men call out, Captain John! So, because John's been taking out, all the treasure and metal falls to the ground, with Dragon protecting Shanks as much as he can. Meanwhile, Shiki comes over to Gonzui saying, Gonzui, why did you shoot John? Gonzui questions, do you really think he was going to split the treasure with us? Each of those chests is worth at least 1 billion berries. Shiki says, billion? Oh, anyone want to keep it to himself. Gonzui prepares to attack Shiki with his back instead. Wow, they are all just decide, screw it. It's the biggest heist possible. It's the perfect opportunity to start betraying people. Oh man, yeah, the Rocks Pirates are falling apart. Here it is. It was too big of a score for them not to get selfish. Which, I mean, honestly, they were already a crew that regularly betrayed each other. But now they're just going at it left and right. I mean, technically it would have been... who was betraying who first? Because... Zebek was only ever after his family. Kaido took out Big Mom, knocked her to the side for his prize. John wanted the treasure. Now Gonzui's going after Shiki. Like, oh man. Meanwhile, several Marines are trying to hold back Garp. Saying, you can't, Vice Admiral. That's the supreme authority of the government up there. Well, Garp just says, what? That vermin? They all freak out. Again, how is Garp still with the Marines? It's more so that it's just like, oh man, how can he just be okay with all the atrocities they've done? No, how has he not gotten in trouble for decking someone? That's the real luck of Garp. The fact that he's managed to make it in the Marines for so long without decking some of the highest authorities out there. Meanwhile, you got Rocks battling Eam. As Kaido comes in saying, let me try too, Rocks. Although in comes Big Mom saying, damn it, Kaido, wait right there. Kaido sees Lin saying, I'm gonna kill you, coming in on Zeus. Though Kaido prepares a blast breath saying, what, are you jealous? Check this out. He's not even registering what she's saying and how bad she is. He's just like, hey, check out my cool power. He is really showing that he is the youngest member of the crew at this. That is hilarious. Oh, he's like a kid in the candy shop. Meanwhile, at Newgate prepares an attack. Zabak is still battling Eam. Roger looks like he's preparing a commissary saying, that's my quarry, Garp. Well, Garp is hocking up his fist for a galaxy impact, and they all go at Eam. So Garp goes in on Eam with his galaxy impact. Yep, in fact, Roger does go in with the divine departure, the commissary. Zabek has an attack called Pandemonium. Newgate hits Eam with a Shock Hakua. Shock Hakua? Have we seen that before? See, I'm kind of curious. Have we seen that attack before? Yeah, it was never named before. Yeah, because as far as I know, he never really named a lot of his attacks before. I think a lot of them are only named in the game. Huh. Big Mom fires off her Koku sovereignty, which it's hard to say if she was actually aiming for Kaido, because if she did, she missed. Whereas Kaido, despite using his Boro breath, just yells, "Dragon!" He hasn't named his attack yet. Just yelling out, "Dragon!" I'm a dragon, I'm a dragon, I'm a freaking dragon! Oh, that's great. Meanwhile, Eam just kind of looks unperturbed, like, well, dang. It's hard to tell if he's being affected or not, because he just has these dull, straight-on look like, oh, is he unleashing a wave of hockey? Yeah, there's a massive blast of hockey coming from Eam, downing several Marines. Meanwhile, with the Roger Pirates, they look back, questioning, what's going on over there? Armageddon or something? But Rayleigh tells them, look at all the chests, pick them up. Oh, they got lucky because of John's power, dragging stuff over in different directions, so they were able to pick up extra stuff. One of the pirates say, Rayleigh's always got his eyes on the prize. Rayleigh says, never forget a pirate's true calling. The guy just laughs. As Dragon is just on the ground, huffing and puffing, he says, this is all insane. I need to at least save the baby. And then he looks at his arms and he's holding a broken stump. Going, what? Where'd he go? And he got little baby Shanks wandering off towards the treasure chest, just like, ultimately they find him in the treasure chest. Okay, yep. All checks out. So it wasn't even that Dragon put Shanks in the chest. Little baby Shanks just wandered in like one of those old cartoons with the baby. He's just wandering around in all kinds of danger. Honestly, this would have been hilarious if it was just baby Shanks wandering through the battlefield, just narrowly avoiding certain death at every pass. As Eam starts to reform, Kaido tells Lin, I can't spit out what I've already eaten. Lin just says, give me money then. And yeah, she was never gonna let that one go, and understandably so. Kaido did kind of do her pretty dirty there. Okay, Eam rises up high, saying, I can see them running through the distant forest. Meanwhile, Garp says, my blood did the trick. Roger says, no, it was mine. So Zebek questions, hey, what are you talking about? Oh, he's still targeting them. Oh, he saw an opportunity. Eam says, New Davies, a woman and a child, striving so very hard to live. A pestilence that must not be unleashed upon the world. Realizing that he's talking about Teach and Eri, Zebek goes in, slicing up Eam, saying, whatever you're thinking, don't do it. And then Garp seems to notice something, as Eam has impaled Zebek, saying, Moo, I will do nothing. But Zebek says, what is this? It doesn't even hurt. Eam says, thou wilt end thy own bloodline. Zebek says, what? Eam tells him, slaughter thy wife and child. Zebek says, are you crazy? I'm not gonna. But Eam then uses Domi Reversi, and the change befalls Zebek, as we see Ares clutching Teach, still rushing through the forest. Yeah, a lot of people kind of called it, and honestly, it was the most obvious thing to have happen. Because, I'll be real, Zebek seems powerful, but not so powerful that, that she would have absolutely needed Roger and Garp to work together to take him down. But a Domi Reversi to Zebek. Probably crying out for them to end his life as he rampages. Ooh, yeah. And this would have set off a lot of questions for a lot of people, because you have a lot of the future 4 emperors here. Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido. See, I have to wonder if maybe everything that happened there is what set them off to find the poneglyphs. Maybe they wanted answers about what they saw. Was Zebek saying, no, that's the world? Just like, what does he mean? What did he mean by that was the world? That's was pretty messed up if that's the world. But then again, they were accumulating forces and all that. Maybe they were preparing themselves to ever have to take on something like this again. If this is representative of the world, the only way to fight back is to be prepared. Build up forces strong enough to take this all on. It adds such an interesting context to everything. Now, this is a combination I never thought I'd see. It's One Piece chapter 1164, Davy Blood. Dang. And Perona is chasing after Randolph, who's late for a very important date because he looks like Mihawk. That is wild. Reader requests Perona chasing a rabbit with a watch. Wow. That would be an interesting combination. Honestly, I'm surprised Oda even remembered Randolph. Randolph was like barely even really featured back in Totaland. Wild. As the change befalls Rocks, Newgate questions, "What is it, Rocks?" Roger questions, "Did our attacks do nothing to that spider?" Garth looks on in shock. Newgate's questioning. Kaido's at the ready. And Lin, who's kind of been a little bit preoccupied up until this point, is just like, "What's going on here?" Like she's finally checked into the situation, like, what the heck is going on here? She was so mad before. She was just seeing Kaido, just seeing red. But now she's like locked in, like, okay, some weirdness is going on here. What? Oh, is he fighting off the Domi Reversi? Ima says, "Persistent thou art." As the Rocks saying, "Don't downplay the power of humanity, monster. Davy D. Jones was once the king of the world." Oh, okay. Saying that, yeah. So, did the Davy clan lead the country that was betrayed ultimately? And Eam growing visibly angry for the first time. Well, visibly angry in a way that we rarely ever see. I shouldn't say for the first time. We've seen him angry before. Eam says, "Silence. He was never king. Not for an instant. The grievances between Mu and Davy has nothing to do with thee." Which sounds like BS because of what you've said previously. Zebek says, "Then why are you so panicked over something as trivial as the Davy name? It's kept you terrified for years, hasn't it? The thought that Davy's will might be passed down, and one day come for you to fulfill the promise." Oh, the promise? What's more frightening to you, Davy D. Jones or Joy Boy? Is that him confirming that Davy Jones and Joy Boy were separate? Or is that him saying they were the same person? Eam says, "Cease thy dreaming. Their kind will never be seen again once I have eradicated thee." Okay, no, that sounds like they're separate. "I have found excellent soldiers to serve Mu. Davy, gigantic, harmless, and conflicted." Realizing what he's saying, Zebek says, "The giants? You fool. Don't mess with Harold. They only want peace." Eam says, "Indeed. A golden opportunity. Such a willing puppet of a king will never come along twice." Dang. Rock says, "No." Eam says, "Just like thee, in fact. Now stop wasting time and bring an end to the dream of Davy." Rox cries out, and then he's dropped, hitting the ground hard. Lin, Newgate, and Kaido gather around him. Lin saying, "Huh? Rox? What did it do to you? What happened up there, Rox?" Well, Rox thinks to himself, "Damn it, I'm gonna disappear." Lin says, "Huh?" Eam tells Rox, "End Davy by thy own hand. Now erase all life that was involved with God Valley." Fully turned by the Domi Reversi, Rox rises. Big Mom questions, "Huh? Did you get bigger?" Rox tells them, "All of you, move it. There is blood that must be erased from history." He hops up, stabbing Kaido in the nose. Kaido says, "Ah! Hey, Rox, what are you?" And then Rox tosses Kaido into the mountainside, knocking him out. Big Mom goes in on the attack, saying, "Damn you, Rox! Are you turning on your own people?" Only for Rox to knock her back right into the mountainside, too. Oof. And Newgate, he's got this real serious look on his face. And as Rox comes at him, he questions, "Is that all we RD Rock's impediments?" Like, and none of y'all are realizing that something's changed him. But then again, I guess all of them were kind of waiting for the moment that he did betray them. And now seeing this, they're just assuming, oh, here's that eventual betrayal. Kind of hoping, they were hoping it wouldn't happen, but are kind of shocked that it is. As the possessed rock says yes, and clashes with Newgate. The Marines stand in shock as, oh, one half of God Valley falls towards them. They say, run for your lives, the mountain's coming down. Jesus. See, that is kind of sad, though. But also shows why, so many of them believe that Rox betrayed them in the end. That's messed up, because he never willingly did. See everyone running to get out of the way of the collapsing mountain. A call comes in over the Marine vessel saying, all battleships along the northeast shore, withdraw and keep your distance. Meanwhile, on the northeast shore, you got the noble saying, that was dangerous. Who should we punish for allowing this to happen? That's all they can think of. All the Marines say, quickly, please, everyone, this way, everyone. While the nobles say, don't you dare leave without us, or we'll have you put to death. While the Marines say, hurry, my lords. Meanwhile, on the southwest part of the island, someone radios in to Rayleigh saying, hurry up, Rayleigh, this island is doomed. While Rayleigh says, Roger, better be all right in there. Meanwhile, the others are saying, treasure, treasure, can you believe how much there is? Whoa, it's a dead end. Make it snappy. Meanwhile, Dragon's just really having a hard time, saying, damn it, I can't even save a single baby. Where did he go? Meanwhile, Ivankov is saying to Kuma, you have to stop, Kuma. If you keep going, you'll put us in danger. While Ginny calls out, Kumachi. Kuma says, there might still be lives I can save. Oh, a person. Oh, did he come upon Captain John? Or you got the injured John walking out saying, cursed, stupid Gonzui. Meanwhile, Gonzui, I don't know if he's injured or something. He's just Shiki. Is there even an escape off this island? Meanwhile, Shiki's racing off with a treasure chest saying, yeah, you thought you could get the best of me? Someone radios in, all forces to the shore. We need stretchers. I can't get there. The woods are on fire. But the Zabek has found his wife and child. Oh, and Ares. She knows what she's looking at. So they pass along knowledge of this as well. Ares says, Zabek, you look just like... She wells up with tears saying, so you lost then. I'm sorry, dear. You had to face off in order to save us, but it was too early, wasn't it? Too early? Okay, she knows some deep details, huh? Ares hugs her child, saying, oh, Teach, we'll jump into the sea. We just have to swim. Whatever it takes to keep the Davy blood alive. You have to survive no matter what it takes. She races to the shore. Unfortunately, as she nears the shore, the Marine vessels start to target her, saying, escapees at the shore. Oh, snap. Just as it looks like Rox is about to end his own bloodline. I mean, he essentially did do that, but completely snuff it out with the death of his wife and child. Or, I mean, even if he didn't do it, the cannon fire from the Marines was about to do it, which Ares sees and goes, oh no, cradling Teach, only for the MVP of every reality, Bartholomew Kuma, to come in, paw them away. He notices the situation around him and immediately paws himself away too, just in time before the cannon fire can go off on Rox. And Rox splits. I didn't realize it at first, but I saw the ship get destroyed. I'm like, oh, what was that? Oh, it was when Rox swung his sword down. He destroyed the battleship that fired. Jeebus. Eam, watching from on high, essentially, telepathically communicates to Rox, saying, continue, Davy. Snuff out every light of life left on the island. Which I have to assume that also means the Marines as well. Speaking of which, a Marine who is ushering the nobles radios in, hurry up, Vice Admiral Garp, there's no time. Well, Garp just questions, no, you hurry. How many are still on the island? Meanwhile, from Roger's ship, one of his men calls out, where are you now, Roger? Roger radios back, I'm fine. Once everyone's on the ship, let me know. Got that? Ah, true man. That's a true captain right there. He doesn't get on the ship till he knows that every one of his men is back on board. Meanwhile, Rox is just delivering death. I'm not sure if it's just to other pirates or also to some of the Rox, more minor Rox pirates. Because we always see the bigger crew, but I don't know if they're like more average people on his crew too. But as he slices them down, they call out, "Stop it, Rocks! Rocks? Why does he look like that?" Suddenly, the demonic Rocks notice something. Both Garp and Roger breathe in deeply and shout from the center of the island with a commanding Conqueror's Hockey blast, shouting, "Get out here, Rocks!" Eam, feeling that, feels it as Davy. So those who possess the Will of D all have that kind of spirit within them. Will of D and a bit of Conqueror's Hockey. Eam just feels it as Davy. So it's just when someone has a great amount of hockey within them. We then cut to the demonic Rocks looming above Roger and Garp. Garp says, "Look what a mess you are." While Roger says, "Can't let you go after my crew." And kind of using the voice of all things, Rocks calls out to them, "Roger, Garp." Roger says, "What's that voice?" As Rocks tells him, "Help me." Shocked, Roger asks, "Why do you look like that?" And with tears dripping down his face, Rocks tells him, "Please, just kill me." While Roger questions this and Garp is shocked, they can only square up as Rocks descends upon them. Yeah, honestly, everybody kind of called it. The moment you introduced Domi Reversi, it was like, yeah, it's pretty obvious how this Rocks encounter goes down. I think there was some people who thought that maybe Rocks would be too powerful to get Domi Reversi'd, but honestly, if someone as powerful as Rocks can be affected, I don't know. But at the same time, then again, Domi Reversi works best when there are two pillars who can get in between people and change them that way. But all that was left was Rocks. Unless Emu went in and tried to transform Roger or even Garp, it wouldn't really work. But honestly, this feels like Emu was also doing this as a punishment, having Rocks attack his own crew too, which also explains why the likes of Whitebeard and Big Mom and Kaido, it changed their way of thinking, seeing Rocks do all of that and not understanding why, which is also kind of sad. I have to wonder if Roger ever tried to, at the very least, explain to Whitebeard that, hey, I think someone was controlling Rocks up until the last second. But then again, would that revelation have been better or worse? Would Whitebeard think less? It's like, or even someone like Rocks could be controlled. What does that really mean? Actually, that perspective would have made a lot more sense as to why the likes of Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom all accumulated power the way they did. If there was something so fierce out there that Rocks couldn't overcome, that could lead to his downfall, we'd have to build up something even bigger than what Rocks had. That'd be an interesting angle for that. Man, it's so tragic. It's tragic. I feel bad about it, but at the same time, it's like, up to this point, it's like, no, it all makes sense. Like, Oda is great at building everything. Even though it's obvious that this was the path everything was going to take, it still sucks to see, because just because you can foresee a car crash, but if you can't do anything to stop it, it's still a tragedy, especially if so many people die in it. Like, that doesn't stop it from being a tragedy. Hey, all right, on to the next one. All right, next up, we have chapter 1165, Reverberation, with a cover page of Law napping with Beppo, Zeus, and Master Yoma? Was that his name? Hold on. Yeah, Master Yomo. Or Pastor Yomo. There it is, Pastor Yomo. Dang, what an interesting collection of characters. Reader requests Beppo sleeping peacefully using Zeus as a pillow. To just decide to add Law and Yomo out of nowhere. Machi and Takeshi. Alright. We pick back up with Rocks, tears in his eyes, belaying his demonic visage and grin, uses the voice of all things to call out to Roger and Garp, saying, "Please." Garp asks Roger, "You hear that too?" Roger, squaring up a hockey-filled blade, says, "Yeah." And as Rocks leaps in, hockey on his blade, he tells them, "Just kill me." As Rocks swings his blade and Roger readies to meet it, he says, his words, his attitude, and his expression. They're all telling different stories. Roger and Rox clash as Garp leaps in, hockeys up his fists, and delivers a mighty punch to Rox's face. Ooh, but Rox stands his ground. Even with the hit to the face, he tanks it. Roger, he's managing to hold Rox off for the moment, but then Rox applies some hockey to his arm and to his blade, sending off a shockwave that knocks back both Garp and Roger. The power of hockey reverberates once again throughout God Valley, this time splitting the very sky itself, leaving people in awe. The pirates on the ground question, why does the sky look like that? It's split in half. We gotta evacuate before we're all dead. We then see Kyo calling back to his men. Let's steal a ship and get off this island. The men question, what? You mean Rox's ship? But Kyo says, you really think he's coming back? Meanwhile, you have Shiki with his one lone treasure chest taken off, laughing all the way, saying, yeah, this is the end of the Rox pirates. Other pirates scrambling out of there, saying, hurry to the shore. Meanwhile, a marine vessel, a marine calls out, what did you say, Vice Admiral Garp? Garp radios back saying, once you've got every living resident and sailor on board, shove off and get out of here. Meanwhile, with the Roger pirates, one of his men questions, what's happening on the island, Roger? Roger says, once Rayleigh and them get to you, wait off the coast. With both Roger and Garp saying, I will be back. Messing up an epic line like that from both of them. They both throw off their coats. Garp saying, Rox, Roger, I came here intending to arrest you both, but... Well, Roger says, yeah, my plan was to steal Shaki and the treasure and hightail it out of here. Instead, shall we team up for a minute? As they lock eyes with Rox, Garp says, I have a number of issues with this, but I can't afford to let him run free. As Rox lunges at Garp, Garp manages to dodge out of the way as Rox's sword embeds within the stone cliff. Garp leaping overhead calls out, hey Rox! With that distraction, Roger tries to go in for a swing, sending a forceful blast that knocks Rox into the cliff, with Rox's head buried inside the cliff. Garp goes for Rox's foot, saying, that look you've got, the curse. Is there any way to break it? With Garp throwing Rox into the mountainside again. Roger, hacking up his sword, comes down with a powerful slam, saying, just wake up! Meanwhile, as Rayleigh and the other pirates are making their way out of there, with Shaki, of course, he says, faster, Roger's going to keep fighting until we evacuate the island. One of the men call back, that hockey's off the charts. Suddenly Gloriosa comes out from wherever she was, saying, got a spot on the ship for me on the ship, I assume? Come on, say, Gloriosa? Yeah, where were you this entire time? Was she just hiding? Big Mom caught up with Kaido, and Kaido finally figured out how to transform back. Then again, he did get his face planted into a wall. So oh, sure. Okay, let me just read Okay, I looked at the other page. We're going to talk about that once I get to it. Big Mom says to Kaido, very angrily, listen up, Kaido. You owe me for the rest of your life. You're going to make good on that. And Kaido just laughs it off, saying, fat chance. It was finders keepers, Lin, and you lost. Just watch me. I'm going to create a new crew where violence rules all. Big Mom questions, you think you're hot stuff now. Keep dreaming of the day you beat me. It'll never come. Which, ultimately, they never beat each other. The most one of them ever got was a sucker punch. Strusen rushes by saying, come on, Lin, let's get moving. Carry this treasure. Strusen calling the shots at the end of the day, apparently. In their standoff, Big Mom smiles, saying, I'll come and collect one day. While Kaido tells her, and I'll be waiting to crush your spirit. Meanwhile, the battle between Rox, Roger, and Garp rages on, with Rox knocking both of them into some rubble. Meanwhile, over with Whitebeard, a figure that I just said is like, that looks like Marco. It's very obviously Marco's father, who is named Polo Graham. I swear to God. But that would mean that Marco's first name is Marco, of course, and his last name is Polo. But the way it's said in the One Piece world would mean that he is Polo Marco. I hate everything about that. Honest to God, I hate it. I hate it with a passion. I hate it. I hate it with such a passion. Polo Marco. Just how dare you? How dare you? But that would raise a lot of questions. Did Polo die at some point and turned over his son to Whitebeard? Regardless, as Whitebeard's walking through the flames, Polo calls out, "You're the one who knocked down that mountain, aren't you, Newgate?" Newgate questions, "Who are you?" Polo tells him, "Looks like your crew's falling apart. The name's Graham. Captain of the Polo Pirates, Polo Graham." He leaps down from his perch saying, "I'm a big fan of yours. Say, you got no ship to go back to, huh? Team up with me instead." Well, Newgate just says, "Get out of my hair." Meanwhile, wait, that's, oh god, what was his name again? Gil Bastar. And he has one of those ghosts next to him. Did he used to have the Holo fruit? Is that why he always seems to have multiple arms? Or, because he doesn't have multiple arms here. I'm so curious. But then again, in the short story he was in, didn't he see a ghost? Or was that another story? Yeah, he had to deal with the ghost of Wild Joe. Oh, dang. Okay. Well, Lucy, with a whole bunch of treasure, comes upon Gonzui and Gil Bastar questioning, "Hey, where did Newgate go?" Oh, Gonzui just says, "Don't ask me." Meanwhile, on a marine ship, someone questions, "What are you doing, Dragon? Calm down." Oh, while Dragon's holding, I think, a vice admiral at gunpoint saying, "No, what are you people doing? Did you know what we were aiding here?" Well, his commander says, "Dragon." Well, Dragon says, "Put them on the ship right now. We have to rescue them. And if anyone argues against it, I'll execute him on the spot." So there's still some civilians. Okay, so Kuma wasn't able to get everybody off. Dang. Okay, see, I was wondering what ultimately was it that got Dragon in trouble, because there were a few things, but nothing that was too public that Dragon couldn't maybe work his way around. But this is pretty public. I think the Marine captain says, "This isn't going to end here, Dragon." Well, Dragon says, "It better not." See, I've had this belief for a while. This captain, who's over Dragon, has this one hat. And I remember that Akainu is shown with a hat, a specific hat, as he's getting older. Like when you see his depiction as a little kid. My belief is that the captain over Dragon was punished with execution, and that captain was Akainu's dad. That's my belief. That's why Akainu is so pissed with Dragon, because Dragon's actions led to the death of his dad. Okay, meanwhile, over with the Roger Pirates, you see Rayleigh and Gabon heading away from the ship. Someone calls out, "Rayleigh, Gabon, where are you going?" Well, Gabon calls back, "Don't you dare follow us. Take the ship out into open water and wait." Meanwhile, on another world government vessel, Eam, talking through Saturn, says, "That island will never have existed. Understood?" Then we have the narration. West Blue, God Valley Incident, S-level top secret classification. Records of clandestine operations and special hazard pay for Naval Base G11 and Cipher Pole number 6. Registry of participants in the human hunting expunge. Site of event, God Valley. Island location, area population, details erased. Number of fatalities, unknown. You still have Rocks, Roger, and Garp still just going at it. The entire mountainside just completely destroyed. Roger asks, "Garp, did you know about that enormous black monster the government has? And they call themselves the good guys?" Garp says, "I can't believe it either." Roger says, "If you're gonna quit the Navy, come join us." But Garp says, "Don't be an idiot. If I quit, who's going to watch out for the rank and file?" And that's always been my belief with Garp. Like, Garp's always had this dedication to the men in the Marines who actually want to do good. Like, there's this belief that I've seen him have in the Marines of what they do generally. It's just like, there's this cancer in the Marines that he wants to find a way to get out without destroying the whole thing. And I feel like that's what a lot of other people don't get. It's just like, oh, why does Garp still side with him? Why does Garp still believe in this? If Garp has seen all this, why does he still go with this? And yada, yada, yada. It's because he sees the good that the Marines can do. Yes, there are plenty of good pirates out there, but there's much more bad pirates out there. And the problem is there's also plenty of bad Marines out there too. But with the right kind of leadership, more of the good would win out. It's just that as time has gone on, Garp has seen much more of the corruption in it. And I think Garp is looking for that opportunity to take that worst part down. But over the years, he just hasn't had the opportunity. And yeah, I think Garp would even, if you were to say, Garp, you have a lot of blood on your hands for just allowing this for so many years. He said, yes, I do. But it's my belief that still striving for this and seeing an opportunity, or even making it so that the next generation further down the line can find an opportunity, will be worth it in the end. That's how I believe, how I choose to think of how Garp sees a lot of this. As Roger stands, huffing and puffing, he says, it all comes down to mass, doesn't it, Garp? Garp, nursing his busted head, says, mass? What do you mean? Roger, wiping the blood off his chin, says, first of all, the color of armament is a power that doesn't yield to devil fruits. And on top of that, I was wreathed in color of Supreme King. There's no way I couldn't have heard him. Garp says, yeah, but he was guarding with Supreme King too, so they cancel out. Roger says, exactly my point. There's no damage unless we surpass that. If it's all down to who wears our out first, we'll lose. There's no way we can keep up with a monster like that thing. Garp then questions, so you want to hit him with a critical mass of Supreme King hockey? Okay. So just essentially imbue everything they have in one final attack. Kind of how Luffy does it. Just put everything you got in one last attack to overwhelm the opposition. Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's how a lot of victories are always claimed. You just put everything you got into one final attack, whereas the opposition is still trying to, even everything they got out, but they don't, go in for that full power attack half the time. Roger says, exactly. Don't even think about whatever stamina you need after this. Garp says, in that case, you're saying we don't come back from this alive. As the two stand, Roger says, if we can pull this off, all three of us will be down for the count. While Garp says, but if we miss, we're done for. As Rox nears them, Garp readies himself saying, listen up, Rox. I don't know what I can say to console you. I don't know what happened to you either. But there's one thing I do recognize. I recognize your sorrow. As he looks upon the despair and tear-filled face of Rox, it's obvious the damage has taken its toll, but the body just keeps on going. Roger's a big softy in the end, because you see him winding up his sword, and he's just wiping tears out of his eyes at the same time, saying, don't cry, you idiots, god of fire. Garp does the same, winding up his fist, saying, infinitum. And as Rox lunges at him, really? Roger's attack is called the God of Fire Ace, while Garp's attack is Infinitum Explosion, and they unleash a decimating attack against Rox that just utterly overwhelms him, seems to knock the Domi Reversi out of him. But the question is, what kind of damage does that do to his body in the aftermath? The narrator comes in saying, the world government attempted to cover up everything that happened here, but the downfall of Rox-Lee-Zebek and his lawless band of followers, the Rox Pirates, who wreaked havoc on their era, cast unmistakable reverberations that shook the very world. You can just see the hockey coming off the island. So, is this the death of Rox? Or, I don't know. Is there some way he lived on? Alright, and now we have the final chapter we'll be looking at, which has an utterly beautiful cover page of everybody, eating steamed sweet potatoes. Okay, I have to wonder, because it keeps happening where Shinobu either looks in her big form or her skinny form. Is it that she could switch between them now, or is that just a mistake on Oda's part? I am really not sure. I love that Luffy's burning his hands. I also love his fit. Nami looks utterly cute in her little outfit. You got all these little animals in ninja garb. Even Zoro's burning himself. I love seeing Tama, who's so adorable, sharing some sharing a sweet potato with Sanji, which is so cute. Yamato's here. You got Usopp and Chopper enjoying some. You got these dancing foxes in the background. It's a cute little cover page. Based on requests, Yamato and Otama collecting fallen leaves and baking sweet potatoes with tanukis and foxes. Okay, so that explains why they're there. And then I guess Oda was just like, this is beautiful enough that I'm inspired to have as many of the Straw Hats as possible in on it. And then put in Shinobu too, since she's training Tama. It's very cute. It's nice to see Yamato in a different kind of outfit. This is a very nice little sweater too. Okay. Oh, chapter 1166, new story. Rox is still alive as he coughs and thinks, has the curse worn off? Roger and Garp are done. I get where this is going. There was that question of, how could Roger and Garp kill Rock? Even if they knew he was possessed, it's like, they really strike to kill in the end? Just as a means of being done with him? No, they're not the ones who killed him. Damn. But they weren't conscious to stop what was about to happen. Rox can only thinking, will I leave this island alive? The three figures appear in the smoke of the battle. The Gods' Knights. Summers, Maffy, and Garling. Dang. Of course. Because there had to be some way in which Garling was rewarded, and there was that reward for killing Rox. In his final moments, Rox can only think, nope, guess not. Roger, Garp, you better run. No reason to stick around and die with me. All right. Forgot to say one thing. Glad you stopped me. Thanks. As Garling brings his blade down upon Rox. Oh, what the heck? Okay, I'll get to that in a second. We pick up with Saban carrying Garp and Rayleigh carrying Roger. Oh, okay. I was wondering who was speaking. Garp, barely conscious, says, where's Rox? Saban questions, you're worried about your enemy? Garp says, you guys are my enemies too. While Roger asks, what happened to Rox, Rayleigh? Rayleigh straight on he pauses for a moment, hesitant to say it, but tells him they killed him. Yeah, but since the Gods' Knights are not really something you put out there in the world that generally, it's easier to say that Garp and Roger were the ones who ultimately took him down, because multiple accounts will say that, well, it was Roger and Garp who were the last people battling him. And I can only assume that with everything that happened with Dragon, the only reason that Garp agreed to sell that story was to keep Dragon alive, if only for a little bit longer. We get people radioing in, hurry, the island's collapsing. Don't let the pirates escape. Roger's ship is on the move. Open fire. The island collapsed in on itself. See, I have a lot of questions about that. Was it because it didn't look like they used the ancient weapon that took out Leloucia, but the island just collapses in on itself? How? Why? What would cause that? Was it the battle or something else? And there's that theory. There was a theory that Eni's lobby was where God Valley used to stand, but obviously that can't be true, I don't think. Could we go to the remnants of where God Valley once stood, or is it all just water? Is it even a hole like a lot of people theorize? Well, we have the narration. Absent from the pages of recorded history, like a certain falling on stage, the island crumbled in upon itself and was shrouded in a deep, deep mist. A deep mist? Mist? Like the Florian Triangle? You see the Marines firing upon the the Roger pirates. Garp is all bandaged up, and so is Roger. Whitebeard sailing off. Big Mom, Kaido, flying through the sky. Dragon, still with the gun. Baby Shanks fast asleep. Kuma, knocked out from everything that happened, being cared for by Jenny and Ivankov. Blackbeard still being held by his mother. I wonder, because there was a depiction Oda had of Blackbeard's mother older. So, did she die? Or when Blackbeard came upon the Whitebeard pirate saying, I'm an orphan, was that a lie? The Roger pirates say, let's make our escape full speed ahead. Just laughing. The narration says, this is a broad account of what happened in the mysterious obscure God Valley incident. But after a brief moment of silence, a massive lightning bolt with countless branches split the sky. And with that, a number of news stories began. A lightning bolt split the sky. Maybe it was the ancient weapon, but it seemed like the island collapsed before that, right? Oh, okay. This is why Oda chose to wait on depicting this, because I had already seen this drawn up. Interesting. We got days after the God Valley incident. Someone says, we still gotta wait? Yes, not until Roger wakes up. Hurry up, Captain Roger. I want to open these chests. Roger, bandage up. Oh, Boreas is still on the ship. I didn't even realize. Walks out. Everyone says, Roger. Roger says, sorry to worry you all like that. The men say, good. You're better now. Anyway, check this out. Oh, Roger says, are you really worried for me or not? We got Shocky out safe and sound. Well, Shocky's nuzzling up to Rayleigh, and Rayleigh's got his hand on her shoulder and stuff. His men bring out their haul saying, and we made off with all this treasure. Roger says, whoa, what a haul. But then he hears something from a chest. They say, hey, that came from inside the chest. There's something in there. Careful when you open it. Roger goes over, opens it up. Everyone's shocked, saying, a baby? And Shanks is just in there giggling. Yeah, because there was a sketch up that Oda had done right before the release of Film Red, and for some reason he chose not to put it out. He only ever saw the sketch, but for some reason he chose not to ever draw it out fully or ink it or anything. And there was that question of, well, why didn't he finish it? He was waiting for this moment. I have to wonder. I love how if you've kept up with things in the community for long enough, you know about certain things that are just out there that were planned or sketched up, or little ideas that were put on the back burner until he was fully ready because he had another idea that he wanted to go with. That's so cool. All right, the announcer says, the downfall of the Rocks Pirates. The story, of course, was heavily sanitized and prominently featured the exploits of Garp the hero. We got the townspeople reading the paper saying the Rocks Pirates are done for. Rocks is dead. The people cheer. I just knew Vice Admiral Garp was the real strongest man around. Garp! Garp! Now there's a true hero. And of course, over at Navy HQ, just like I thought, Navy HQ, Grand Line. Garp is pissed, saying, what is this drivel? Doctor says, Vice Admiral Garp, stop. Garp, ripping up a paper, says, bring me this Morgan's guy. He needs to answer for this. Sengoku enters, saying, oh, stop it, Garp. The government clearly paid him off to write this. As Garp sits down, Sengoku tells him, the world government and the Navy are both massive organizations. If you include the militaries of all the member countries, there are tens of millions of soldiers across the world. It's impossible to be completely aware of what every last one of them is doing. So when I notice that upper management is doing something insane, I can just look the other way. Dang. I mean, I get it, but dang, Sengoku, to just say it like that. And Garp is pissed, saying, huh? That's what I hate about you, Sengoku, you ladder climbing fool. And they start brawling. And Sengoku says, shut up. What is barking from the bottom of the cliff going to accomplish? I get it. I get it. It's got a messed up way of saying it, but it's a realistic thing. It's like, look, we fight this out. It ends up becoming this massive internal war. People die. Like, lots and lots of people die. Some of them even fighting for something that if they fully understood how bad it was, they wouldn't agree with either. But they'd be turned against those who know the truth. So his idea is to change things from the inside. But fortunately, Sengoku finds out the same thing Akainu does, which is it's harder to... You can only rise up so high and do so much. But I do hope that in the future we can see that maybe what they planned actually pays off in the long run. And this is something I feel like they've dedicated years to. And if this is what led to the creation of Sword, I wouldn't be surprised either. But a couple of Marines say, stop it, you two. Garp says, if you turn out like that, I'm going to kill you myself. And so Sengoku says, well, we're friends like you. How can I possibly go wrong? Don't tell me you're quitting, Garp. Well, Garp says, you some kind of idiot. I got plenty to protect down at the bottom of the cliff, as you call it. Which, of course, Garp, he's worried about those who are doing all of this for the right reason. And he wants to stoke more of those kind of people within this organization. And look, if you look around the world we live in today and think that this isn't something that could actually happen, where soldiers go out and do atrocities just because they're ordered to, you're very naive. When someone talks about, oh, these orders sound very evil, those people never make it far within military, honestly. And of course, in Elbath in the New World. Elbath New World, we cut to Loki in the other world, bawling his eyes out, thinking of Rox, who would say, "You're back again? I'm not taking you with me. How many times do I have to say it, Squirt? You really think I'd take kids onto my crew?" Rox lies down saying, "Ugh, what a mess. Ignored by the guy whose attention I want. Ooh, and followed around by some annoying snot-nosed brat instead." Loki then says, "I think you're Nika, Rox." Rox says, "Nika?" With Loki explaining, "The warrior of liberation." He laughs as he tears down the world. Rox says, "He tears it down? Well, I'm going to be the king of the world. If anyone's got that kind of power, it's Harold." Loki questions, "Huh?" As Rox says, "Listen to this, Loki. Slumbering somewhere out there in the world, it's a bunch of incredible destroyers by the name of Galela, and the guy who can actually control them is your old man." Loki is shocked by this. As Rox says, "I could have all the outlaws in the world under my command. If me and Harold team up, who could possibly stop us?" Loki says, "Wow, that's so cool." While Rox says, "Oh," Loki then asks, "So why doesn't my dad team up with you?" Rox simply says, "Because of love." Loki questions this, but Rox says, "But I'll keep coming back. 100 times, 200, as many as it takes." Oh, Loki's in the same spot where they talked previously. It's just snowing there. And as Loki looks back at the paper, he begins to cry again. So I wonder, Luffy did invite Loki to join his crew, but maybe Loki will go off trying to find the Galela. I'm starting to think that's what we have going on now. Why? A lot of characters who seem like they were going to join the crew haven't. Carrot, Yamato. And I think Loki isn't going to join either. I think what's happening is Oda is consigning these characters to being backup, which kind of sucks, but I mean, the boat's only so big, and we're really starting to run out of a lot of room or positions on the ship. I think that's what's going to happen. Loki isn't going to join. He's going to go off to find the Galela. He's going to go off looking for them to help Luffy in this fight that seems to be getting kind of amped up to get the One Piece. Because the Grand Fleet was one thing, but from what we're seeing, we're going to need something a lot bigger. Carrot riding on the back of Zunisha, that's going to come back into play. You got, everything is being set up to where it's out there to come together at the last moment to help out Luffy. And everyone expected the Grand Fleet to come in to help out with the Kaido situation, but that didn't happen. Meaning, Oda didn't think that was big enough to bring in the Grand Fleet. That's what I'm thinking. I wonder. Now we cut to on a certain island where someone's radioing in. There's been an assault. It was King Harold of Elbath. Another person questions, "Has he hurt any civilians?" The person says, "No, it's a giant ruffian that he's beating, but it's so brutal." And the townspeople watch on in shock as Harold looms over the person, saying, "You still don't get it, do you?" With the giant laid out amongst some buildings, he says, "Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I'll never pillage the humans again." But Harold says, "You don't get it. None of you do." And then he just starts laying into the giant again, saying, "All of you scum with size as your only quality are the ones who built the giant's history of terror. And because of you, no one believes us. They don't believe that we seek a peaceful seat among the nation of the world." Someone calls out, "Your Majesty, he's unconscious." But yeah, with sorrow in his fists, Harold keeps going, saying, "I wanted Elbath to join the world government to avoid losing their faith, and that's why I couldn't help him." He thinks back to Rock, saying, whoever's side fortune is on, it doesn't feel like mine, so lend me your aid. Harold says, "My greatest friend begging me for help, and I turned my back on him. I left him there to die. Now I can't turn back from this path. I refuse to overlook the evils of the giants." See, that's the real unfortunate part, because now he's doubled down on it. And what does the Navy report? The king of the giants becomes deranged. They always spin it. They don't No one sees it as sorrow. They just see it as he's a mad king over at Navy HQ. In the underground cells, Garp meets with Dragon, who's locked up. Dragon says, "Queen of the Navy dead." Garp says, "I know." And Dragon says, "On that topic, I'm disgusted with you." And Garp can only say, "I know." He drops the key in for his son. The first time we have ever seen these two interact. Damn. Oof. It's understandable. It's understandable. Harold keeps doubling down on this path because he sees all the good it could accomplish, but he just doesn't realize how deep the evil runs, and Garp has done much of the same. They've dedicated themselves to the good this organization could do, with the right people in place, with the right people at the head of it. But in the process, they have to look the other way on so many terrible things. And I think some people don't acknowledge that kind of suffering. It's like, I acknowledge that I am going to hell because of all the things I could have stopped in the moment, but didn't. But I think even Luffy would acknowledge that to a certain degree, because we saw that in Alabasta. Vivi was so desperate to go and stop the fighting that was generally happening amongst her people, but Luffy was like, no, we got to get this evil at its source. Crocodile. That acknowledgement of the harder path that leads to more bloodshed, or going on the path that doesn't lead to more bloodshed in one way, but leads to more bloodshed in another way. And even Dragon is kind of doing it, creating situations where people are tormented even worse by the government just to get them to finally rise up against their oppressors. Like, there are so many shades of gray to a lot of what goes on here. And what isn't the right decision to you is the right call for somebody else. It's very complicated. We pick up at the shoreline of Elbath, where Ida calls out to Harold, and Harold says, "I've made up my mind, Ida. Chief Jarl, it's time for me to set aside these half measures." And this is where Loki has that memory of Harold kneeling before his two sons and saying, "Harridan, Loki, you're my sons, and I love you both. I want you to work together to support Elbath after I'm gone." We then cut to Navy HQ at Marineford. Someone radios in, "It's an Elbath Royal Navy ship." What? A Marine comes to them saying, I'm very sorry, King Harold, but I've been instructed not to allow you to land." Oh, this is where it's happened. Harold disembarks, standing before Marineford saying, "Officers of the Navy and dignitaries of the world government, please hear me out." He grabs both of his horns and rips them out. The military stands in shock as Harold, holding his dismembered horns, kneels before them saying, "Allow me this chance to atone for 1,000 years of history. I want to apologize for all the mistakes that Giantkind has made. I wish to prove my oath of peace so that the children of Elbath can lead a fruitful lives without hurting anyone, so that they can live hand in hand with humanity. I want a chance to atone for our sins. If that means I must be a slave, so be it." And that gets Eames' attention. Oh boy. There's a lot of tragedy here. And I feel like a lot of people will not give Harold a lot of leeway with this. And understandably so. Because Harold is so desperate to try to get this peace. He's not recognizing the negativity that should put him on alert with a lot of this. He saw so much good that could come from opening yourself up to others and other nations. Like, he can only see the benefits, yet he's not acknowledging the negative. And that's what leads to his downfall in the future. And honestly, Eam was kind of counting on that. It was obvious from a lot of what he was saying. He recognized that Harold was desperate for this. He was desperate for this peace. He didn't acknowledge when things were very obvious that, no, you don't want any part of this. There's something really shady about all. And that kindness was always reported back to Eam. And Eam stoked that feeling by isolating them, leave them prone, make it so they had no ally. And honestly, I'd say that might have even been an even greater reason for Eam to want to kill Rox, so that Harold would have no allies should things go wrong. It's really tragic. And Harold, he regrets what happened with Rox, but I don't think he acknowledges just how bad of a situation it was. If he had been there, he would be like, yeah, there's no path forward with these people. And I think if he even talked with Garp would be like, no, stay away from this. But he just could only see the positive. And it really does kind of explain, because I remember a lot of people being like, man, why are we shifting into God Valley? Because God Valley correlates directly with a lot of why why Harold and Loki are the way they are. The understanding of why Harold was so important to Rock. So I think ultimately Loki, now that he's older, now that he has a better understanding, will have to take up that mantle that his father could never fulfill because of his ideal. And this really is a depiction that the road to hell is paved with good intention, because all Harold even had was good intention. Good intention for all people, because all he ever saw was the positive. He just couldn't bring himself to realize just how evil some of these people could be. And that's the real tragedy, that someone who in a better world would have been one of the best people around, Harold would come to anyone's defense. You know, what? Evil here? We'll come help you out. We got you. What, you going through something? We got you. Like, he is the perfect kind of king. But we've seen it time and time again. Those kings always end up suffering the most. Cobra, Riku Dole, like these kind people, like even just in the world of One Piece in general, the kinder the person, the more they suffer sometimes. In any other situation, Harold would be an amazing person, but in this one, he's naive. It's really tragic. I hate the idea of someone who wants to do this much good being called a fool because he wanted to do good and right by other people. Like, how dare he? But it was simply that he wanted to believe that it was just a few bad actors he would have to deal with, not the whole damn pot damn near. And this is the showing of two men, Harold and Garp, who wanted to do their most to be this positive impact, and it ends up biting them in a lot of ways. Dang. Oh man, the people talk about Harold after I get through all of the reviews on all these chapters. Oh man. Well, it's been a long one. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Again, thanks so much. And I hope to see you in the next one. So then, take care. Bye-bye.